We got prime time. Okay, the name is wrong because we didn't change this. We'll say tweeter prime time tweets. Okay, that looks good. We successfully updated this. Let's check to see that our JS file imported. It imported. Nice. Okay, so if we're gonna do a Twitter clone, what do we need? We need an input, we need a button, we need a header, and we need something to count how many characters are in here, okay? So let's go ahead and, sorry, I gotta cheat. So we need to go ahead and add an input, and we're gonna give this one an ID of user tweet input. And to start small, let's test, okay? Test it, see the input. Excellent. Okay, let's jump back over here. Now we need a button. Button ID on add tweet. Okay? And what do we want to name this one? Tweet. So if we jump back over to our Chrome, we can see this. We can see that we have the input and we have the button. Now we need to see when the user clicks the UI, guys. We're constantly checking for user behavior, right? So what are we doing now? We need to do an on click. On click equals on add tweet. I keep getting ahead of myself, guys, sorry. This is where we need it, not the ID here. Okay, so on add tweet. Okay, so now we're gonna define this function. cfun. And what's the argument gonna be? We're not gonna need one. Why? Because we're gonna use JavaScript to simply look at this ID. We're gonna look at the user tweet input. Get element ID, element by ID. What's the argument, guys? User tweet input. So we'll say const tweet body equals the value of this input, okay? So before I move forward, I want to test to make sure that I actually correctly got this. So we'll run, we'll refresh, we'll type something, we'll tweet, and I failed. So now we know that we don't have any other problems yet. We got a simpler problem. So let's save this file. Let's save this file. Let's see. Let's refresh. Let's test again. Okay. So sometimes it's that simple. We forgot to save a file. Okay. That's why we're constantly testing as we go. We got to confirm what our data is. Okay. So now we have a tweet. We have a tweet. What do we want to do with this? Long term, I anticipate that we're going to have many different types of behavior. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and stick this data inside of an object. I think that's very useful. So we're going to say tweet equals object, and we're going to say the body is equal to the tweet body. And you guys notice that these variables are very similar. In ES6, when we define an object, if we already have a variable defined by that name, we can make it simply the name of the key and the value of the variable. I know that sounds complicated, so just think of it this way. Because I have body on line 2, instead of doing body like that, ES6 allows me to just do one line like that. And when I look at tweet.body, I'm going to get whatever is inside of this right here. Does that make sense, guys? Does everyone understand that? I want to show you guys shortcuts. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is how I would want you to write code. So now we have a new key. We're going to call this created at. Do I have a created at value right now? No, I don't. So I can do new date and done. Now I'm going to have a new tweet. That's a little bit shorter. This is going to happen a lot. This shorthand syntax, whenever we start having 20 different keys, you're going to see this a lot. Okay? So now let's console.log tweet. Okay, we refresh. We'll do something here. We'll tweet. And I can confirm that we correctly created an object. We can see by our curly braces here, right? This is an object. Our tweet that we console.log is an object that we define on line 4 through 7. It has 2 keys on it, body and created at. And when I click down on this, I can confirm we have body and created at. And this value from the body came from where? came from the input. Okay, so now we need to store this tweet. So let's create an array, const tweets equals an array. So what we want to do is do tweets.push tweet. Okay? And the next thing we need to do is what? We pushed it. Now we need to let the user know that, hey, their tweet was successfully tweeted. Now the whole world knows what we're saying. So we need to draw this on the user interface so that the user knows, hey guys, like, hey, we successfully did this. So I'm gonna write code bad right now. I'm gonna write it all in this one function and then we'll refactor afterwards, okay? So we'll do tweets.map, okay, tweets.map. And what do we have here for each iteration? What do we have? We have an individual tweet, okay? And I'm gonna do this on multiple lines because I don't need to write a single line if I don't understand what it's doing. You can write one line later. We need to understand what's gonna happen first, okay? So we're gonna create a new string, tweet. This one is gonna be what, an li element? Li, I can't type right now. Okay, that works. Okay, and we'll say tweets body. This is going to, what could I have done here, guys? I could have destructured, right? But I'm gonna keep it real simple right now, okay? We'll say this, we'll say let tweets HTML equals, and we're just gonna build a really long string. Charles showed me a different way that he would prefer me have done it, okay? So I'm gonna show you the way that Charles asked me to write this. So now, tweets HTML is one array of strings that are properly formatted. So we're gonna say inner HTML equals tweets.html.join, I think it's joins, with a new line. So we're gonna take this string, we're gonna take all these strings inside of our tweets HTML array, and then we're gonna push it in there, okay? Or we're just gonna stick it in there. So let's see if this works. Okay, so tweets.html.joins does not work. I think it's join. Did we find it correctly? Let's see whether or not, is it? Ah, it is the wrong ID, correct. Nice. Thanks for watching my back there, Kwa. We successfully added it. We added another one. So we'll just say go to school, blah, blah, blah. But I want this to clear. I want this to clear as soon as I hit enter. So what else can we do? We can just copy this line here. And we can say is equal to, we'll copy user tweets input and we'll set the value to 0, okay? Or to an empty string, okay? So now we'll say go to school. And now this is gone, right? One thing else I want to do as well is I want to automatically focus it, right? So let's just do this, focus. We can run this code outside the function because as soon as this file loads, this code will run. So now whenever I refresh the page, you notice that the input is automatically focused. And I can just start typing. So I comment this out, I refresh the page, now I can't just start typing, I have to click here. This is user experience. So I'm gonna leave this way. I automatically want to focus the input, right? Load the page, type. Okay, guys? Yes, we're gonna do that in just a second. Guys, I gotta cheat, guys. Sorry. Hey.
When you take the tweet, they will focus on the input box.
No, it goes over here now. Focus is a concept with web, it's another thing. What do you want to do? I'm confused. What do you want to do, Kwang? You want to be able to type and then press enter, right? Or what? Because like, how are we going to know that the user's done typing? What if they made a mistake? What if they want to press backspace? How can we represent this concept that the user is done typing? We have to have some type of input. The user has to tell us. And the user has only a very limited option. All they have is their keyboard, right? So their keyboard or their mouse. You want to click it?
So if right now I want the progress to be on the people.
Okay, so we can just copy this code again. So we just where am I? Did I do it? Okay, so we just do this. After they click, we can just add one at the bottom. Yeah, that works too. So I'll type, clap, back there. And these are all things that we're going to learn with time. Okay, we're gonna just, it takes time. Okay, so next we want to keep track of how many characters are in the input. Okay, and I'm going to cheat on this one because I don't want to sit here and typo. Wait, where am I? Twitter clone. Have I been typing in the wrong one? Fuck, I've been typing in the wrong one. God damn it. Oh, no, okay, this is the right one. Okay, guys, we're going to define a new function, okay? I know this is a lot of code to copy in at once. So we're going to take it one step at a time, okay? Okay, so we define a new function called addInputEventListener. We're going to fire this function. God damn it. When the page loads, we fire this function, okay? What does this function do, guys? When the page loads, we fire this function. What it's doing is, on line 33, we fire the function that we'd find on line 27. On line 27, all we do is we find the user tweet input right here, and we fire another function. We add an event listener. This is listening for input from the user in this input. And it's going to shoot this function right here. It's going to fire this function. And now, here's a very specific use case of scoping, okay? The second argument to add event listener, we cannot define it as a ES6 function. We cannot define it as an anonymous function because we need to maintain the context of the input. So if we define this as anonymous function, the function would lose its this value. Has anyone here read up on this yet? What is this? Yeah, this is a very abstract concept. But just notice that the scope of our function will be different. Okay? So I'm going to copy this over here, and we're going to show you what's going to happen if we do something different. So let's just console log what this dot value is. Every single time we type, this is going to be something. I'm going to type. Did I say this? Add event listener. This dot value. Unexpected end of input. You guys gotta clean. We gotta clean up our code as we go. I don't know what I'm doing here. Tweets. Where's the ending? It's here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we can see that this event listener does what, guys? This event listener simply listens for the user to type anything. If the user types anything specifically within this input, we're going to console log it right now. Right? The event listener, it fires every single time that the user inputs something. But we don't want to do just anything. We want to count how many characters are inside of this input. Right? So let's do input this dot value dot length. Let's just see what that is. So I'm typing, and I can see I have a number now. Right? It's telling me how many numbers, how long the string is that's inside this input. So now we can do a calculation. How long do we want this to be? 140. Okay, so we can just say 140 minus this right here. So let's refresh, and as I type, the numbers go down. Right? Seems pretty interesting, right? So now, what else do we need to do? We can't just use the... Yeah, we need to do a couple different things. But first off, let's just show how many characters that the user has left, okay? Just say const remaining characters equals this value, okay? Now we're just gonna select. We're gonna do document.get element by ID. And where do we want to stick this this number, guys? Where do we want to stick it? Right underneath the input, okay? So where's our input? It's right user tweet input. Let's define a new div. Okay, we'll call this one user prompt. Okay, user prompt. And then we're gonna get an element by the ID, user prompt. And then we're gonna set it equal to what? What, guys? Remaining characters. Exactly. Did I mess this up? Okay, put it underneath the button. Nice. Good call. Does that work? Okay, so I did something wrong. Very normal to run into bugs on our console, guys. So we had improper left-hand assignment. Oh, okay. So we say inner HTML. Yep. Okay, so we can now see how we're gonna show this data to the user, how many characters that they have left. Excellent. Okay, what's the next part? Okay, so we got the characters remaining. We got hello. We can save them, right? Can we save them? Okay, I kind of did out of order, whatever. Okay, what's the retweet? Upon tweeting, the characters remaining should reset back to 140. Okay, so does this set back to 140, guys? If I tweet, should go back to 140, right? Okay, so if I hit add, okay, so now we have a problem that our input add event listener right here, our add input event listener. No, we can just do this much simpler, okay? Let's just copy this line of code. I want you guys to copy code a lot, okay? Because when you copy code a lot and you paste it elsewhere, you're gonna start to see common patterns. That's actually something I've been thinking about a lot too. Because I'm just gonna copy this code, and whenever we hit add remaining characters, we're just gonna set it back to 140, okay? This is a much simpler solution than what I was gonna give you guys. So I'm gonna type here, I tweet, back to 140. Tweet some more. Do you guys see what just happened right there? What this one line of what this copying this code did? Ray, did you see it? So right here, right? I type, I tweet. It's still 126. Okay, guys. So like we're just doing it this way, and this way we can start seeing patterns in our code. Yes, we wrote this 2 different times. Whatever, it's okay. We're gonna refactor later. Even when I write code in the morning, by the afternoon, I want to write it differently. I hope you guys have seen that. We all like learn as we go. So anyway, we got this working. So when I tweet, it goes back to 140, right? Okay. So counting down from 140, I can see a text input. We can tweet, the messages go below. The user can count the display, that you can see a count, the displays going down from 140. When a tweet happens, it goes back to 140. The application should disallow text of greater than 140. Disallow. So this isn't that complicated as well. We can just use the calculation that we have right here, remaining characters, and we can just do a conditional. If remaining count, if remaining count is equal to 0, we're gonna do something extra, okay? We're gonna do document.get element by ID. We're gonna do user tweet input, user tweet input. Did I spell that wrong? We're gonna say disabled is set to true, okay? And then we're gonna prompt the user as well. We're gonna prompt them and say, hey, your text is too long. Your text is too long. So let's refresh it and we'll test. So I'm gonna type and type. Right here, inner HTML. What can I do?
When you put 140.
Tell me a line number. Can you see? Which line number are you talking about? There's HTML everywhere, man. Okay, so index.html.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want to do here? User prompt right here.
The prompt, yeah, you set a
Max.
length.
Like this? Is it an attribute on this div?
Yep.
Okay, what's the value? 140 like this?
140.
I can just do that.
Really?
No, I think this goes on the input, right? Are you saying this goes on the input?
Input.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's try. That's okay. Okay, hold on. Let's just test whether or not this is code. Let's just test whether or not this is Okay, so right now I'm testing, right? I can't type anymore. Nice. Hill just gave us a much simpler solution than what I was gonna do. Thank you, Hill. I was gonna disable it using JavaScript, you know, and just say you can't type in there anymore. But that would have had other problems. That would have given us other problems, and then we'd have to know how can we disable it. So just notice that. You see, this is what I mean, guys. Talk to your classmates, your teammates. One day Hill's gonna be someone's teammate, you know, and one day you guys are all gonna be someone's teammate. And I hope that you guys, as developers, are willing to share what you guys know with your teammates. Because guess what? You can't do every job, and you don't want to work with a team of people that don't know how to do stuff.
I found it when I do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Max length. See, we're all learning together. So we solved that problem very simply. Good job, man. Okay, so we got that. What else do we need to do, guys? Disallow. The user should be able to retweet. By clicking retweet, immediately inserts a copy of that tweet below the original tweet. Damn. Okay, so this one's getting a little bit more complicated, guys. What are we gonna need, guys? What have we been needing all over the place? Yeah, that's one thing. We also need to write a function, I think, right? Just write a function. Where's this coming from? Okay, yeah. So just add another function. And right now it's kind of chaotic in this file, but we clean it up as we go. So with function, we're gonna call this one what? Retweet. Retweet. Does that make sense? And we'll say that this takes a tweet object. We need to eventually find one of the tweets when a user clicks a button, and then we need to, when they click that button, that we somehow change it in a certain way. So in order to have this work, we got to be able to identify a tweet, right? We'll say on retweet. On retweet. Does that make sense? Okay, I think that makes sense. So we're just going to test to make sure that we can get it firing first. Okay, console.log, and this way say tweet index. Okay, yeah, that works. So now whenever we're rendering on our maps.tweet, guys, we also need to stick in in that index, right? So we're gonna say right here, this is the index. Did that work? No, that didn't work. This is what works. Okay? So we're sticking a function in here, and we're passing it the data of the index of this tweet. Okay? So let's refresh this page. Let's add a couple tweets. Oops. Now let's look at our HTML, and we should see a function. And we can see here that on retweet, one of these functions had a 0 as its argument, the other one had a 1 as its argument. So if we were to click this, we were to click it, and on retweet fired, on retweet right here would have a 0 in tweet index. And we're gonna be using that in just a moment, okay? But we got a bigger problem right now. The user cannot click the tweet, right? So let's go ahead and add an anchor tag. Right? We'll let them know. And once again, I did this wrong. We want the ID over here. We want the on click here. Okay, so we don't need this ID anymore. Sorry, guys. All right, let's test. Why do we not see, shouldn't it be href equals pound? This gives it the default styling, I think. Okay, there we go. We got a default styling. So now when we click retweet, we want to see something pop underneath. Okay, we want to see something that says underneath that the user did it. But first, let's stay on track, okay, guys? Let's make sure on retweet fired. Let's look at our console. We did fire it when we click this. So we got the code inside this function to fire, okay? So now what do we want to do? We want to look at our tweets array. We want to find that tweet. Okay, so we say tweets array, is that right? Tweets. We want to find this index. And what do we want to do? We want to look at a key on it, and then we want to increment it. Okay? So we'll just say const tweet equals this tweet. We're gonna say tweet dot retweets plus equals 1. Oh no, what are they? This is unclear to me. The user should be able to retweet. Clicking retweet immediately inserts a copy of that tweet below the original tweet.
Like having a separate button. Instead of having the whole thing, the whole character be a link, have a separate link that says retweet. That you click on it and then it copies it.
But what text do we want to put underneath?
The same exact.
We want to put the exact same text underneath?
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to see a button, you're saying? You want to see a button?
Yeah, a button that says retweet. Well, I guess a link, right? Well, I mean, that's
I'm really confused. Guys, sometimes we're going to run into this problem, guys. We're going to run into the problem that like instructions are unclear. So I hope you guys know that like, okay, so you want to see a button, and I click retweet. What happens when I click this?
just copies it right underneath.
Copies it right underneath.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have a copy of this, and we're going to say, tweet dot retweets, because we're setting a new key on this variable, equals an array, and this array needs to contain the tweet that we currently have. Body. We need to do this right here. Fuck man, this one's complicated. We want to take the body and stick it underneath. Okay, let's just make sure that we found the tweet correctly, okay? Guys, when we console.log, it helps us think about the data that we have. How can we store data? 1 second. Okay, so we have a tweet object right here. We want this object to have some knowledge of what tweets, how many times it has been retweeted, right? I think, has anyone here used Twitter? Okay, so I'm confused. I thought Twitter, like we type in text and then, I don't know how Twitter works. I've never used Twitter.
Yeah, it's like that where you type in like 140 characters, you tweet it, goes on your profile.
Are we supposed to like show like a number? I'm thinking that we're supposed to show a number for retweets, right? And then the tweet shows up on my profile. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think when I hit retweet, the number on that person's page goes up 1. It goes up 1, and then the tweet is like, it's almost like shared to my Facebook profile. What, like to me, showing the exact same text underneath doesn't make sense.
Maybe it's leading to another step.
Yeah, I'm really confused. Anyway, listen, I'm just going to show you how to kick up the number. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to kick up the number, and then you guys can play around with it, and we'll look at Twitter in just a second. So anyway, so now that we have the tweet, we've been successfully able to do this, right? We'll just say retweets equals tweet.retweets plus 1. Plus 1. Okay? And then we're going to stick it back in there. And then we'll say tweets IDX equals tweet. I could have done this a simpler way. I could have done what the and did, but I kind of like this way. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, so we're going to write this really bad right now. After we do this, we want to show, whenever we render this, right, we want to have a little number in here that shows us how many tweets there have been, okay? So we'll show the tweet.body, and then we'll have a little bit more text. We'll say tweet.retweets. Is that what I called it? Okay, and then we also need to have this code fire again, okay? We need to have this fire again. Why? Because we need to render our UI again. Okay? So I'm gonna do tweet, I'm gonna click retweet, and we have a problem with our data. Lord fucked up. He did something wrong. Let's test this one more time. First off, when there are no retweets, we shouldn't have anything right here, guys, right? So we'll just say if there are retweets, if we have retweets that are greater than 0, we'll do tweet. Okay. Tweet.retweets, and that will just give us a number. Otherwise, we're just going to do an empty string because we don't want to see undefined. What? Oh my bad, I'm doing the wrong one. Okay, so from the very beginning, there's a problem. The first time it rendered, we had this problem.
Is it based on the reason?
No, because I wrote the same code twice. And both the code did the same thing, and that's why we had the problem. Even though I fixed it down here, we wrote the exact same code twice, and this code wasn't fixed. So now if we reload it, it goes away. So this is why we want to group our code into functions, because if we write the same code twice, we end up having to fix multiple places when we're trying to fix one problem. Okay? So I'm gonna click retweet, and now we have a problem. Did this even work correctly? Did retweet fire? I'm not sure. I'm a bit confused. So let's go ahead and console log again. Refresh, test. Okay, so this did fire. So let's think about this. Tweets.html. Let's console.log tweets.html. So it is an array. The array has this, okay. I think we need to give our tweet a default number. Retweets. Okay, let's try this. Ah, there we go. Because we didn't have a value and we were trying to perform calculations on it. So we can see that we can count the number of retweets by having a button here. And every single time it uses retweets, the number the object is changed. We take the object's number of retweets, we add 1 to it, and then we render again. Okay? So here's a quick walkthrough. It's almost 10:30. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions, guys? Okay, so just know that this is your group project this weekend. I want you guys all working on this together. You know, doing gets, branching, guys. Try to branch. Don't work on your master branch. Please do not work on your master branch. Before you write code in your shared project, branch, get, checkout, -b, name of your branch. Okay, guys? I want you guys to make this look beautiful. Okay? I want you guys to also study Twitter. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but I'm almost positive it kicks up the number if you click up.
It does.
But does it show the exact same text below?
On your page. Like if you went to somebody else's page and you click retweet, it copies that onto your page.
Yeah, so this is the behavior I expect. This is the behavior I expect.
It shows at the very first. Like every new tweet actually shows up at the beginning.